Have your cell phones and other communication devices turned off, okay, or switched to some. Welcome to Chulalongkorn University for the keynote address by His Excellency Mr. Hamid Ansari, Vice President of the Republic of India. May I now invite Professor Dr. Kunying Suchada Hiranan, Chairperson of the Chulalongkorn University Council, to deliver the welcome remarks.
His Excellency Mr. M. Hamid Ansari, Vice President of the Republic of India, Honorable Ministers from India and Thailand, Honorable Indian Members of Parliament, distinguished guests, professors, researchers, students, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Chulalongkorn University, I feel truly honored and contented to welcome His Excellency Mr. M. Hamid Ansari, Vice President of the Republic of India, and the distinguished delegates from India to Chulalongkorn University today. Like other Thai citizens, I'm very delighted to witness the strengthening of India-Thailand relations. Civilization-wise, Indian and Thai people are inseparable. The expansion of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sufism from India to Thailand and other parts of ASEAN countries brought about emergence of cultural blend, the imprint of which is still clearly evident. Today, the Thai has been revitalized in almost every aspect. For Chulalongkorn University, your presence here today is indeed very special. The word rejuvenated in the title of your talk reminds me of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore's visit to Thailand in 1927, almost 90 years ago. Here at Chulalongkorn University, in our first building, not far away from here, he delivered his talk touching upon many important issues, including the importance of revitalizing Asian civilization and human solidarity. I'm certain that your presence today, in the early 21st century, will not only add to the friendship between India and Chulalongkorn University, but will also be remembered as, by a new generation as a reminder of our perpetual bond. Excellency, as chairperson of Chulalongkorn University Council, I would like to also inform you that India has always been a vital part of Chulalongkorn University. Chulalongkorn University has been offering classes on Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit, Hindi, and in the future, Tamil as well. Among others, there are also faculties, departments, colleges, and centers in Chulalongkorn University that are thoroughly engaged in Indian arts and cultures, Indian foreign and security policy, and Indian economic relations. The establishment of Indian Studies Center of Chulalongkorn University in February 2011 manifests how crucial India is to Chulalongkorn University, as one of its primary objectives is to collaborate with scholars on India from different disciplines to consolidate the overall knowledge on Indian studies in Chulalongkorn University. I'm very pleased to inform you that our Indian Studies Center has joined with many bodies in the university to organize more than 50 activities within 5 years of its establishment. Many of these activities, of course, could never be possible without the generous assistance of the Embassy of India, Bangkok. Now, not to delay further the moment for which all of us have been waiting for, may I now request His Excellency, Mr. M. Hamid Ansari, Vice President of the Republic of India, to deliver his address. Thank you.
His Excellency Mr. Uttama Savanayana, Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Emeritus Professor Dr. Kirananda, Chairman of the University Council, Dr. Kalaya Singh Sabat, Vice President of the University, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be here at this prestigious university named after the illustrious King Chulalongkorn, or Rama V, whose centenary will be celebrated next year. I felicitate the university on moving towards this milestone. Our relationship, ladies and gentlemen, is not of recent origin. Some in this audience may know that King Chulalongkorn, after whom this university is named, paid a royal visit to India in the year 1872. In 1950, we were honored to receive another royal visitor from Thailand by King Rama VI, the founder of this university. We celebrated the centenary of that visit last year, and in particular, the enduring links then fostered between the Indian port city of Surat and Surat Thani in southern Thailand. The establishment of the ASEAN Economic Community this year has been a historic event. This journey began in Bangkok in 1967. I am told that the Thai name for Bangkok, Krum Thep, is an abbreviation for, and I quote, the city of angels, the great city, the eternal jewel city, the impregnable city of God Indra, the grand capital of the world endowed with precious gems, the happy city, abounding in an enormous royal palace that resembles the heavenly abode where reigns the incarnated God, a city given by Indra and built by Venuka. End of quote. To my mind, this is an apt illustration of the ancient links of civilization, culture, and commerce that exist between India and Thailand. These links give us shared perceptions of the evolving commercial and political environment in the region and the world at large. My visit underscores the importance India attaches to Thailand as part of our increasing engagement with the region. Despite the large size and rapid growth of our economies, the trade and investment between Thailand and India remains modest. There is a need to synergize our efforts in the areas of economy and business to enhance and diversify our trade. We need to encourage our private sectors to make investments in infrastructure and manufacturing sectors in each other's countries. And for this, the two governments are willing to provide a predictable and comprehensive legal and taxation framework. There is tremendous potential for enhancing our bilateral defense ties. Thailand has played host to ships of the Indian Navy and the Indian Coast Guard on several occasions in recent years. We hope to continue this cooperation through technical human resource development, capacity building, and contributing to the development of Thai capacities, both physical and human. Since 1991, ladies and gentlemen, India has pursued a look east policy. This emanated from a perception that our economic progress and well-being is intimately linked to the growth and prosperity of the entire Asian continent, especially of our friends across the Bay of Bengal and the Andaman Sea. ASEAN was thus a natural partner for our engagement in the Asia-Pacific region. It is a partnership based both on a shared heritage and a pragmatic appraisal of economic growth and prosperity, of peace and stability. Since the commencement of the dialogue partnership with ASEAN in 1992, the potential of this partnership has grown, commensurate to the increase in our collective capacities, our growing economic integration, and the ongoing evolution of the political and security architecture in South and East Asia. The upgradation of the ASEAN-India relationship into a strategic partnership in the year 2012 was a natural progression in this relationship. In recent months, we have enhanced our engagement in Southeast Asia. This was reflected in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks in the year 2014 at the India-ASEAN Summit at Naypyidaw in Myanmar, and I quote, "India's Look East policy has become Act East policy. A rapidly developing India and ASEAN can be great partners for each other. We are both keen to enhance our cooperation in advancing balance, peace, and stability in the region." End of quote. India places ASEAN at the core of the Act East policy and at the center of our dream of an Asian century. There is a special emphasis on India-ASEAN cooperation in our domestic agenda on infrastructure, manufacturing, trade, skills, urban renewal, smart cities, and Make in India programs. Connectivity projects, cooperation in science and technology, development, and people-to-people exchanges are to be springboard for regional integration and co-prosperity. The Delhi Dialogue, the 8th edition of which will be held later this month, the ASEAN-India Eminent Persons Lecture Series, and the ASEAN-India Center in New Delhi are important components of our agenda to enhance mutual understanding. The ASEAN-India Plan of Action for the period 2016 to 2020 was adopted in August 2015, which identifies concrete initiatives and areas of cooperation along the three ASEAN pillars, namely political, security, economic, and social culture. We have opened a separate mission to ASEAN and East Asia Summit in Jakarta to further strengthen our engagement. Today, India and ASEAN have 30 annual dialogue mechanisms, including a summit at prime ministerial level and 7 sectoral dialogues at ministerial level. We have established 3 funds to support our vast agenda with the ASEAN. The ASEAN-India Cooperation Fund, the ASEAN-India Science and Technology Fund, and the ASEAN-India Green Fund. Numerous projects are being implemented under these funds, ranging from establishing of a space station to fighting malaria and to promoting agricultural research. The breadth and intensity of India's engagement with Southeast Asia is unmatched by any of our other regional relationships. We have an intensive engagement across governments as well as between experts, think tanks, private sectors, academia, diplomats, farmers, students, and media. This trident of commerce, culture, and connectivity defines the future focus area of cooperation between ASEAN member states and India. Allow me, friends, to dwell on some aspects of it. I begin with culture. From Borobudur in Indonesia to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, our shared heritage finds an exuberant manifestation. The spread of Buddhism from India is attributed to Emperor Ashoka, who sent Buddhist emissaries to Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Indian mythology and folklore finds reflection here. The Thai epic Ramakien is based on the Ramayana. The Ahoms, the Khamtis, and Khasis, people of India, have links with Thai people. In modern times, many Indians emigrated to Southeast Asia in the 18th and 19th centuries. Their descendants today constitute a vibrant community of Indian origin, contributing actively to their respective countries of adoption. In consideration of these links, India is considering the feasibility of liberalizing our visa regimes for ASEAN countries to facilitate Buddhist tourist arrivals. The re-establishment of the Nalanda University, which has strong support from several ASEAN members, is progressing well. Nalanda was once a world-renowned knowledge hub where scholars from around the world, including Southeast Asia and India, exchanged knowledge and ideas. Now, we are working to create a similar world-class university in the 21st century with the support of our East Asian partners and have offered scholarships to students from CLMV countries to study there. Secondly, commerce. In the year 2014-15, ASEAN-India trade stood at US dollars 76.58 billion, growing at an average annual growth rate of 12%, up from US dollars 44 billion during the year 2009-10. In terms of the two-way FDI flows, the India-ASEAN region has significantly outpaced many other regions of the world. Over the past 7 years, US dollars 25 billion of FDI equity has come into India from ASEAN countries, and dollars 31 billion of Indian equity has found its way into ASEAN. With mutual trade and investment opportunities arising from the realization of ASEAN Economic Community and India's emphasis on Made in India, Digital India, Skill India, and Smart Cities initiatives, we are confident that India-ASEAN commercial partnership will flourish. The ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement signed in the year 2009 has helped in bringing about steady increase in trade volumes. The entry into force of India-ASEAN Trade in Services and Investment Agreements in July 2015 was a major step forward. India is looking forward to progress in negotiations for a balanced and ambitious regional comprehensive economic partnership agreement. Science, technology, and innovation constitute a vital pillar of India-ASEAN cooperation. India is planning to enhance the ASEAN-India Science and Technology Development Fund from the current level of US dollars 1 million to dollars 5 million in the near future. We are planning to set up an ASEAN-India innovation platform to facilitate commercialization of low-cost technology transfer, and collaborative R&D projects. India is implementing the $21.53 million project on establishment of a tracking and data reception station and data processing facility for ASEAN at Ho Chi Minh City, upgrading of the existing station at Biak in Indonesia, and training ASEAN personnel in space science and technology in Dehradun in India. We are open to offering ASEAN our indigenously developed GPS-aided geo-augmented navigation services, which provide advanced navigation and location assistance and information facilities. Thirdly, connectivity. Connectivity with ASEAN in all its dimensions, physical, institutional, people to people, continues to be a strategic priority for us. Special efforts are being made to develop a coherent strategy, particularly for linking ASEAN with Northeast India. This is reflected in the finalization of negotiations on the India-Myanmar-Thailand Motor Vehicles Agreement and the ASEAN-India Maritime Transport Cooperation Agreement. ASEAN-India Civil Aviation Task Force is expected to oversee optimization of air connectivity. Other major projects on connectivity include the Kaladan Multimodal Transit Transport Project and the Ri-Tidum Road. India has committed a line of credit of $1 billion to promote projects that support physical and digital connectivity between India and ASEAN. India and ASEAN need to focus on an extension of the trilateral highway to Cambodia, Laos, PDR, and Vietnam. We also have to work towards converting these transport corridors into economic corridors. The Mekong-India Economic Corridor, which is expected to connect the industrial and freight corridors in India with the production networks in the Mekong region through the Chennai-Dawai Sea Link will have a beneficial effect on all our economies. As part of our digital connectivity initiative, we are exploring the setting up of information highways or highways between India and ASEAN. It is evident, friends, that a stronger ASEAN-India partnership would give us a stronger voice on global governance issues. The time is right for a common engagement for bringing greater equity into the international order. ASEAN members in India have similar aspirations to have an open trading system through global organizations like the WTO. We have also shown a strong commitment based on the principle of common but differentiated responsibility as we take up our own role to address issues related to climate change. We are also together in the effort for reforming the United Nations, particularly its Security Council. The role and composition of the United Nations Security Council needs to reflect the requirement of developing countries to have a greater say in decision making. India has a shared vision for a peaceful region and the seas around us. We believe that all trade routes and sea lanes must be protected from traditional and non-traditional threats, and all countries using these international waters must act with responsibility and restraint. As the countries in the ASEAN region strive for greater economic integration, the safety of sea lanes, critical for maritime trade and commerce, maritime security, and access to marine resources in accordance with accepted international norms, continues to assume greater significance. The evolving situation in the South China Sea demands restraint from all parties. We support collective efforts by ASEAN member states and China to conclude the code of conduct to keep peace and stability in the region. Non-traditional threats such as piracy, smuggling, transnational crime, and drug trafficking are on the rise and pose a challenge for our countries and require strong and determined coordinated action to control. The spreading tide of extremism and terrorism threat we both face. Successfully dealing with such threats requires strong cooperation among like-minded partners. Thailand and India already have a robust cooperation in this area, and I am glad that we have also taken steps to institutionalize such cooperation at the regional level. Ladies and gentlemen, the rationale for a strong ASEAN-India strategic partnership is clearer than ever. As in the distant past, when countries in this region and India shared robust trade links for mutual benefit and prosperity, so today we have again emerged as key drivers of economic growth for the Asia-Pacific and indeed the world. Together, India and Southeast Asia constitute a community of 1.9 billion people, representing 1/4 of humanity and account for a combined GDP of US dollars 4.75 trillion. It is therefore only natural that they would work towards a qualitatively more substantive and invigorated relationship. India is ready to meet the expectation of our friends in the region and play a more proactive role in the processes leading to the ASEAN community. The economic and geopolitical center of gravity of the world has again shifted towards Asia Pacific, with the region showing unparalleled dynamism in economic, political, security, and demographic terms. Today, as ASEAN and India stand at the dawn of a new era, time has come, perhaps, to reclaim our past heritage. Long live Thailand-India partnership. Long live ASEAN-India friendship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President. Permit me to pose some questions for you, which we collected earlier from some members of the audience during the registration process. If it is all right with you, I will read them one by one. And after each question, could you kindly give us your response to each of them? First question is, what are the priorities of your visit with regard to India-Thailand relations?
Well, I thought I've spoken at some length a few minutes back on the priorities. The priority is, and I want to underline this, a much stronger relationship with Thailand, a neighboring country, a maritime neighbor, with whom we have a strategic partnership and so many commonalities, past and present, that we cannot but look at the future together for the benefit of our people.
Perhaps you could also underscore that despite the fact that the ASEAN and Indian economies have witnessed rapid growth, economic relations between ASEAN and India do remain modest, as you said. What are India's concrete steps to enhance the economic aspect of these relations?
Well, I would suggest two broad steps, which in today's world, the world of the 21st century, are unavoidable. Number one, the governments concerned, in this case Thailand and India, have to have a clear view and a clear vision of what they want to do together. Last night, in the discussions with His Excellency the Prime Minister of Thailand, we agreed that we have a road on which we have to travel together. The road is ready for use. The traveling has not only to begin, but to proceed at a faster pace. So that is as far as the government's go. But then, as many people in this audience know, economic activity has shifted from government-initiated economic activity to private sector economic activity. So what we need to do is to bring the business communities of our two countries together. I understand that that is already happening as far as India-ASEAN are concerned. But much more needs to be done. We need to familiarize ourselves with what are the opportunities and what are the capabilities of each other. There are things that you can do better. There are things that we can do better. There are things that we can jointly do better. And in that, we need to work together. But to do that, we need to know each other much better, substantively.
Thank you very much for that further clarification and elaboration. I believe that those are the two main questions that the audience had wished to pose to you this morning. And now, may I invite?
Thank you.
Yes.
You are letting me off very lightly.
Yes. May I invite you to take your seat once again? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now may I call upon Associate Professor Dr. Chayodom Sapasi, Dean of the Faculty of Economics of Chulalongkorn University, to deliver a vote of thanks.
His Excellency, Mr. M. Hamid Ansari, Vice President of the Republic of India, Honorable Minister from India and Thailand, Honorable Indian Member of Parliament, Chairperson of Chulalongkorn University Council, Vice President of Chulalongkorn University, distinguished guests, professors, researchers, students, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege and a great joy to extend vote of